Right now, as we speak, there's a hidden war being fought all around us in the digital world. It's this constant battle against an invisible enemy, one that can strike without any warning at all. So today, we're going to dive into how artificial intelligence is basically becoming our frontline soldier against these digital ghosts. So what exactly are we fighting? It's something called a zero-day vulnerability. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine a bank builds this state-of-the-art, super secure vault. They think it's absolutely impenetrable. But a thief discovers a tiny, secret flaw in the design that nobody else knows about. So how many days does the bank have to prepare for a break-in? Exactly, 0. Because they don't even know the weakness exists. And that, in a nutshell, is a zero-day exploit.
And that really brings us to the biggest question for pretty much every cybersecurity expert on the planet. How in the world do you defend against a threat that has no name, no history, no known signature to even look for?
To get to that answer, first we've got to look at why our old ways of doing things are they're failing. Think of traditional defenses like a security guard with a photo album of known criminals. They're just completely unprepared when a brand new face shows up.
This right here shows the fundamental shift in strategy. The old way, what we call signature-based detection, is totally reactive. It can only spot threats it's already seen before. But the new way, behavior-based detection, is proactive. It doesn't really care what a threat looks like, it cares about what that threat does. It's the difference between trying to spot a known face in a crowd versus spotting someone who's just acting suspiciously, no matter who they are.
And look, this isn't just a hunch. The research is crystal clear on this. As this quote from the source material points out, the old systems are, and I quote, typically ineffective. Why? Because they're stuck looking for patterns that are already known. For these zero-day threats, those patterns, they just don't exist yet.
Okay, so if the old guard has failed, who's going to step in? This is where the story gets really interesting. We're bringing in a totally new kind of watchdog, one that's powered by artificial intelligence.
And this is the most crucial point. AI completely changes the game. It doesn't need a photo of the criminal. Instead, it learns the entire rhythm of a system, what normal behavior looks like, down to the absolute smallest detail. It's a total paradigm shift. We're moving from identifying attackers to identifying strange actions.
So how does this AI detective actually work? Well, you can think of it as a 4-step process. First, the AI just drinks from a fire hose of data. Network traffic, security reports, you name it. Then, using something called reinforcement learning, it teaches itself what's normal. Now, the magic really happens in step 3. It flags even the tiniest, most subtle deviations from that normal baseline. And then finally, and this is the real game changer, it uses all that data to predict the likelihood of an attack before it even happens.
Now that all sounds great on paper, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, the researchers put this AI to the test, and let me tell you, the evidence is pretty compelling.
The results, they speak for themselves. The AI-driven model, specifically the one using reinforcement learning, was way more accurate at detecting threats than the classical machine learning models, things like support vector machines and random forests. And we're not talking about a small improvement here. This is a huge leap forward in our ability to detect these things.
But just being accurate is only half the story. The real power of this AI is in its ability to predict the future. The model was actually able to predict the likelihood of an exploit being used days, sometimes even weeks before it was actually weaponized in an attack. That gives defenders this priceless window of time to patch their systems and get their defenses ready before the enemy is even at the gates.
And here's why this is such a big deal for the actual people on the front lines. This AI isn't just some black box spitting out random alerts. The study found that because the AI was more accurate and could actually explain its reasoning, the human analysts dealt with way less alert fatigue. They started to trust the system more, and that trust led to faster, more confident responses whenever a real threat popped up.
So it's clear we have a powerful new weapon in our arsenal. But this is cybersecurity, and in this world, the battle is never really over. We're now heading into the next phase of a constantly evolving digital arms race.
It is so important to remember that AI is not some magic solution that's going to solve everything. As powerful as these new models are, they definitely have their limitations. The attackers are smart, they adapt, and you can bet they're already working on ways to get around our new defenses.
So, what's on the horizon? Well, attackers are developing what's called adversarial AI, which is designed specifically to trick our defensive models. They're creating these super sophisticated exploits that almost perfectly mimic normal, safe behavior. Plus, we still face huge challenges, like how to analyze encrypted traffic and how to constantly fine-tune the AI so it doesn't cry wolf with a bunch of false alarms. The work is definitely far from over.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty heavy question to chew on. We've built an AI detective that can spot threats before they even happen. But in this new arms race, what happens when the other side starts building its own AI criminals? Ones designed to think, adapt, and attack faster than any human possibly could. That's the battle we're all preparing for next.